Hello and welcome to Jessie Bear Book Club. Today is the day that we have all been waiting for. The day I finally got to watch House of the Dragon. I was quite excited for this. My boyfriend was only mildly curious. But of course, as we went to set up the show to watch, our HDMI cable decided to stop working. So even though we were all set up to go and we just made dinner, we had to decide to watch something else because there was no way we were going to crowd around my laptop. That is why this video is a few days late. My apologies, I'm going to go out later and buy a new HDMI cable. I was really happy to see that the show opened with the Great Council because that establishes the precedent for why women cannot inherit in Westeros, and that is so important. It was also a great nod to the books and the lore of A Song of Ice and Fire. One of my favourite bits was seeing King Jaehaerys, the first of his name, because he is such an important figure in the Targaryen history. So, wow, so happy they included him. Upon watching the show, I immediately noticed that the timelines were a little bit off. Some people are older than they are in the books, some people are younger. The Queen that never was old at the Great Council, and then she's old again 10 years later. That's fine. I can live with a slightly messy timeline as long as they do everything else right. I also enjoyed how they added in how many years before the events of Game of Thrones the Dance of the Dragons occurred. I thought that was really important for non-book fans. Not that there's many of you out there. The opening scene with Rhaenyra and her dragon was pretty cool. Great CGI. However, the Dragon Keeper's armor was slightly underwhelming. I don't know why that bugged me, but it did. I also liked the fact that all the Targaryens speak Valyrian because that comes as a shock in Game of Thrones, of course, and isn't overly referenced in A Song of Ice and Fire, but they obviously did, because it comes up later. Rhaenyra and Alicent's friendship was interesting. I wasn't expecting that because, of course, in the books, Alicent is quite a bit older than Rhaenyra, about 10 years, but it seemed to work. It was a good creative choice, I thought. It also brings to the fore how any young girl would feel if their best friend started dating their dad. You wouldn't like it. Completely understandable and relatable. I also liked how they tied in Alicent's history with Jaehaerys, but they simply moved it on to Viserys. Alicent, of course, being a comfort to Jaehaerys in later life, and reading to him, which is just mimicked with what she did with Viserys. I liked it. Smart choice. Somebody read the books, or wrote them, Mr. George R.R. Martin. I also enjoyed a lot of the quotes from the books about the bronze bitch, and how men in the Vale fuck sheep because the sheep are prettier than their women. It made me laugh, and I'm glad they included those lines. The sets for House of the Dragon Season 1 and the budget is obviously so much higher than it was for the original A Game of Thrones series, and I really liked it. The jousting scenes were spectacular. Compared to the joust in Season 1 of Game of Thrones, this joust blew it out of the water. The costumes, the scale of it. Also, the way they have done King's Landing, like 170 years before we see it, where it's slightly grubbier, slightly smaller, slightly dirtier, the streets aren't cobbled. I liked it. Somebody's really paying attention to detail, and somebody like me appreciates that. Talking about details, did anybody else see King Viserys holding cat's paw, or was that just me and my happy imagination? Of course, we cannot talk about the first episode of House of the Dragon without mentioning that absolutely brutal C-section scene. Oh my god, my friend had to fast forward through it. I thought I was going to be sick. I had to pause it actually and take a moment. That was really bad, really bad. That's not in the books, guys. But it worked. It was so traumatic that it worked. Of course, it was completely horrific. Poor Emma Arryn. She did not deserve that. She was a nice woman. And It just takes you back to the medieval period and when decisions like that had to be made. Fuck the maesters though. And fuck King Viserys for doing that to his wife. She was lovely. Of course, then we move on to them all talking about the succession, which of course in the book was already established because Rhaenyra was always the heir until there was going to be a boy born, and Daemon was just messing about, hoping it would be him, hoping he'd get married to his niece because that was the Targaryen way. So that was a bit uncalled for, I thought. They drew it out, but I see why. If you haven't read the books, you don't get it. The bit where Viserys is telling Rhaenyra about Aegon and his dream about the others and the never-ending winter was a bit meh. I mean, it wasn't needed. I think they only put it in there for the TV show fans because none of us book fans really care about that. Of course, you have all the stuff with Daenerys the Dreamer, but who really cares? We're here to see dragons and dragons fight. I also thought it was odd that Viserys, who rode Balerion the Black Dread and was the last king to ever ride Balerion, even though he took one trip and we're looking at Balerion's skull, it was not mentioned. That was a missed opportunity, guys. You know what was not a missed opportunity? Seeing Daemon Targaryen's butt. And it wasn't a very nice butt. And now all I can think about is the fact I've seen Doctor Who's butt. Too much, guys. There's also a little bit much when we've seen the severed penis. You know what I'm talking about. Like, I can deal with severed hams all day long and executions. But genital mutilation is another level of, I don't want to watch this while I eat dinner. Christian Cole turns up, beats the living hell out of Daemon Targaryen with a Morning Star, and that's about it. And he's Dornish, so what? Kinda sexy. We know where it all goes. I'm gonna leave it there. But I am really excited for the next episode. So far, so good. A bit gruesome, a bit over the top, a lot of sex. Brothel scenes were good. I like a brothel scene. And I'm excited to see where it goes. I want more dragons. I want more intrigue. I want more counselors squabbling. And I want to see the Starks, like the actual Starks. We got a glimpse of a Stark at the end when they're all swearing fealty. But I could definitely go for seeing more. Remember, like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to try and make a video about House of the Dragon every week after I watch the episode. Whether I do or not is another story because I have work and other commitments. I also am going on holiday in a couple of weeks to see my mum. So I'm going to have to make an effort to keep up. But you can also follow me on Instagram if you're interested in seeing my weird daily life. Until next time, guys,